The fledgling group signed a deal with CBS Records, and between 1974 and 1977, Journey released 3 albums and built a rep as a powerful live act with driving progressive rock and roll.
It was more jazzy than rock. The music was just wonderful. I mean, it was just one of those things you listen to and you go, okay, I want to be part of this.
But a hardcore cult following wasn't adding up to album sales, and by 1977, CBS Records was running out of patience with Journey.
CBS said, if we don't sell X amount of copies of the next album, they were going to just drop us.
They wanted a front man, someone that could get us on the radio, because they couldn't get us on the radio, man.
Manager Herbie Herbert told the group they needed to leave their solos behind and find a singer to lead Journey on a hit parade.
I wasn't certain that I was going to like it, to be completely honest. And there's still things that I don't like about it. But this is how I make my living, you know, and I need to pay the bills.
Herbie's first choice for a lead singer was a young Denver crooner named Robert Fleischman. The group hit the stage with their fresh frontman in the summer of '77. But the fans didn't buy Journey's new direction.
Robert came out to sing a few songs with us, and the audience was like, what's up with this, man? We did have like a die-hard following with a lot of our fans, and they only wanted to know about that original Journey, and that was it.
But the original Journey could not survive without a dynamic frontman. Their road was about to come to an end. Journey's first foray into mainstream rock ended when they dismissed new lead singer Robert Fleischman just months after he joined the group. So in the fall of '77, manager Herbie Herbert sorted through a stack of demo tapes given to him by a CBS exec, looking for a frontman to put Journey over the top. Finally, a familiar voice caught his ear.
The demo tape was phenomenal, and the singer was great. And I said to him, I said, you know, you're going to tell me the singer is Steve Perry. This name has been coming in and out of my life from the beginning of time.
Herbie Herbert had crossed paths with Steve Perry dozens of times. After years of paying dues on the LA music scene, Steve finally hit a groove in 1977 with a band called Alien Project. But on the verge of signing a record deal, the group's bass player was killed in a car accident, and the band died with him. Before giving Herbie an answer, Steve sought the advice of his closest confidant, his mother Mary. Perry told his mom he felt he should leave music behind.
She said, no, don't give up yet. You know, something will happen out of this. You don't know yet.
But Steve Perry wasn't the only one who had to be convinced. Herbie Herbert had to work on Neil Schon and Greg Raleigh as well.
He played us the tape of Parrot that he got from CBS. Neil and I both looked at each other and no. No way, man. You know, I mean, this guy's crooning. We don't want this. We want somebody to scream.
They flat out didn't want to know from this guy, and I flat out told him, Steve Perry's going to be in this band. Get used to it.
The next thing I know, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm hanging out with Neil, just hanging out, and wrote Patiently, the two of us in that hotel room.
With Patiently, he and Steve began a friendship, a partnership, and a sound that would make them famous.
Ooh, anytime that you want me.
Steve Perry gave Journey new life when he joined the group in the fall of '77. When the band released the album Infinity, both the song Wheel in the Sky and the follow-up single, Lights, landed on the charts. Journey was experiencing its first success on the radio and in record stores, and with his voice providing the band's new signature sound, Steve Perry's confidence blossomed. At the time, Steve Perry wrote a song about a rocky romance that became fodder for a feel-good sing-along. Reaching number 16 on the charts, Love and Touch and Squeezin' was the first single off of the album Evolution, released in July of 1979. By the end of the year, Journey's Joyride was shifting into high gear.
I'll never forget the first time we played a stadium that really just rocked my world.
But with triumph came signs of increasing turmoil, as singer Steve Perry was emboldened to take command of Journey's jaunt to the top.
Things dramatically changed with the success of the band, and what he had brought to the band was all the success. I mean, a lot of it was attributed to the voice that's now on the radio. So the way I look at it, he had the ball, he was running with it, and we all let the reins go.
He thought he knew better about the songs, and he wanted to write them, and he was ambitious about it. He wanted to do it.
I really, really put my nose in places that I think people probably would have rather me not, but I couldn't help it. I pushed and I believed in things, and sometimes I wouldn't lay down.
Not everyone was happy with Steve's broadening influence. In July 1980, founding member Greg Raleigh dropped a bomb on the band. Tired of the road after a decade of rock and roll, Raleigh engineered his own exit soon after the release of the album Departure.
I wrestled with this because I must be crazy. Here we are, as successful as you can be. I did exactly what I set out to do. And I was not content. You couldn't have paid me $1 million to stay out there and pack another suitcase.
Journey soon snatched up Raleigh's replacement, Jonathan Cain, keyboardist of The Babies. Within weeks, Cain was at Steve Perry's house, beginning a partnership that would produce solid gold.
He starts playing around, we're coming up with ideas and stuff, and all of a sudden he plays this beautiful melody.
It was in this key.
What's that?
Within hours, the two new partners had crafted a lilting love song that would make Journey musical megastars.
I just remember just sitting there going, oh, wait till the world hears this.
After 7 years, Journey finally had a signature song, a mellow masterpiece called Open Arms. Amazingly, the tune was crafted by Steve Perry and John Cain, one of the first times they ever met. Now came the hard part, convincing founder Neil Schon to embrace it.
The quote that I remember from Neil was that it sounds kind of Mary Poppins.
It's not that I didn't like the song when I heard it. It was just so far removed from anything we had ever attempted to record before. It's just like, what am I going to do on this?
In the spring of '81, Journey began working on their next album, Escape. But in the studio, a taunting Neil Schon made recording Open Arms an ordeal for Steve Perry.
Steve had a tough time. He'd see Neil in there with, he could see it through the glass, It was like, Neil, you can't be here. Let's do this.
After the Escape album's release in the fall of '81, the band's fans got their chance to deliver their verdict when Journey performed Open Arms in concert for the first time.
The place went crazy, just nuts. I looked over at Neil and he was stunned. I mean, I don't think he was smiling or anything. He was just kind of stunned.
When we were a jam band, it was mostly guys in the audience, and now our audience was 80% women. They loved the ballads. That's what I noticed the big difference in when I looked out there, which was very pleasing on the eyes. I have to admit.
We do 2 encores, we go backstage. I'm walking back there. All of a sudden, Neil's going, man, that song really kicked ass. And I looked at him and I wanted to kill him.
Propelled by Open Arms, Escape let loose 3 top 10 hits, eventually selling over 8 million copies. Fans ate it up, but to critics, the band had sold their souls for success.
The thing that we were the most branded by was the word corporate rock.
I hated it. I thought it came from jealousy and envy.
As far as I'm concerned, we probably, were guilty of everything that the critics had to say, as far as trying to write hit songs and being aware of the business. But personally, I see really nothing wrong with that.
They were one of the first bands to make it that big, to start selling out arenas 3, 4, 5 nights in one city. And so that was kind of unusual to have that big of an audience. And so I think that seemed very corporate and commercial.
By 1983, Journey was big business, and business was booming. In February, they released the album Frontiers, which was headlined by a song called Faithfully. Destined to become another heart-rending hit, the tune had been written by Jonathan Cain in the midst of a lengthy tour. The song became yet another top 20 hit, one of 8 that had been scored since Steve Perry joined Journey. But with each smash, the group felt more pressure to sustain their stunning success. As the crowds grew larger, Steve Perry grew more reclusive, leaving even his bandmates feeling shut out.
Even after we wrote all these things together, I still had moments of, why are you being so distant, you know?
There were many times in which I would engage in a conversation with him, and in the middle of a sentence, he would just sort of tune out and walk away and start talking to somebody else, and I'm going, hello?
There was very happy times, man, and there was like times that were just like, we wanted to kill each other.
Then Steve became increasingly estranged as his long romance with girlfriend Sherry Swafford grew troubled. Steve attempted to save his relationship with Sherry by bringing her on the road, but by traveling separately in a motorhome, Perry drove a wedge between himself and the band.
The joke was, Elvis has left the building. We'd get off stage, he'd take off in his car and he'd be gone, and we'd be sitting around and we'd meet the fans. There was no more Steve,
It was awful. And we were, flying around without him. It was weird.
But Steve Perry's distance wasn't the only thing gnawing at the fabric of the group. By early '84, Neil Schon had recorded 2 albums outside of Journey, including one with jazz impresario Jan Hammer.
Steve seemed more perturbed than anybody to me about it.
I had asked that he not do any solo albums because I was telling the manager that it would only entice me to want to do one.
In the end, Neil's solo albums pushed Steve to pursue his own interests.
He'd done 2, so after the Frontiers tour, I went to LA and did mine.
In the summer of '84, Perry released Street Talk. The first single was Oh Sherry, a song and a video that starred Steve's girlfriend, Sherry Swafford. Within weeks, the song hit number 3 on the charts. The smash single solidified Perry as a force outside of the band. But to Neil Schon, the song sounded just like a Journey tune. And now it was his turn to feel betrayed.
I was not making commercial records anyway. I was not making anything to even put next to Journey and say, well, it's trying to do the same thing over here, only with someone different. It was completely something other.
But after his solo success, Steve Perry was more determined than ever to control the band's direction.
Journey needed to take a musical direction, take a few chances, and do some different material. It wasn't my solo material, and it wasn't Journey's old material. It was kind of its own stuff.
The band began experimenting with the latest in recording technology, hoping to produce innovative rhythms and beats.
We got studio and we started creating like that with drum machines and stuff, That was the age of the drum machine. Bad idea. If you're a band, be a band,
Instead of keeping Journey on the cutting edge, the sessions only worsened the widening gash within the group.
I felt pretty excluded at that point, from the band. We weren't sitting in a room and playing together like we were used to doing. And, they were working with a drum machine, which I completely just did not get at all.
It was kind of threatening. I take pride in the drum parts that I come up with and what I have to offer in the evolution of the song itself. So I didn't have that, place anymore.
Tensions came to a head in the spring of '85. As Journey began recording a new album, drummer Steve Smith and bassist Ross Vallory say they were expected to mimic machine-driven beats. But Steve Perry says that after several sessions, the band wasn't capturing the sound he was looking for. So with the agreement of Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain, 2 longtime Journey members were fired.
They came to us at the meeting that he hates Ross Vallory and Steve Smith. It's like, wait a minute, what did I do here?
That was very painful, and I took it pretty hard.
Journey moved on as a trio, backed by studio musicians.
It was Steve's baby, so he was in charge. He picked the musicians, the songs. He didn't have to be democratic.
Having had those circumstances in front of me today, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done it. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I was one of those situations when music just dictated again, and boy, I had to have it.
The band may have been pared down, but Perry's vocals and Neil Schon's guitar licks were as potent as ever. Released in early '86, Raised on Radio quickly gave birth to 4 more top 10 tunes, including the smash Be Good to Yourself. In the spring of 1987, Perry called a meeting with Neil Schon and John Cain at an isolated spot in Northern California.
John and I were hoping to continue the Raised on Radio tour, and Steve just basically shut down. He says, look, I'm toast.
I truly was toast. We had not stopped for years. And I told him, I just don't think I can do it anymore. I think I just want to stop.
We were kind of confused and hurt. We thought we were a family, and it was like heavy. I'll never forget that.
There was no announcement, no press release, no farewell concert.
I never really felt like I was part of the band. I know that's difficult to see or even difficult to say, but I really always felt that I was the outside guy.
I just don't know how to relate to that.
I have no idea why he would feel that way.
What can I say to you? It's just nuts. Never felt part of the band. Okay.
He was making, a lot of the decisions and doing basically whatever he wanted to do. So I don't know how you can not feel a part of something that you're almost completely controlling.
If anything, it was pro Steve. It was pretty much he had the reins. So here's a guy with the reins saying, I'm a member of the band. What's up with that? Somebody tell me.
Despite the pain of Steve Perry's departure, there is still plenty of pride in the legacy of the band. In the hearts of millions of fans, the music will always be a joyous journey.
As crazy as it got, as insane as it got, it was magic. And no one will be able to take away what was accomplished with this band.